we have a regular ruler. So some things we need to think about before we start. A ruler has two sides, inches and centimeters, standard and metric. We're using inches today, okay? And all rulers don't start at the same place. Some rulers do start at 0, but some, like this one, have a little bit of space before 0. So when you put it on your paper, you make sure that it lines up with 0. And then what you're going to do is you have to hold it still the entire time. And it also needs to be straight, parallel with the edge of your paper. You can't draw your marks like this because they'll be off, and then your grid will be wrong. So all you do is you line it up with 0, and you make marks on each number. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep going until you go all the way across. Now on mine, you may see that here my paper was cut to where I have this little extra piece just beyond 9. That's okay. We can deal with that as long as we make sure that when we slide our ruler down, that same side is the side that has the little extra piece. So slide your ruler down, line it up, and make little marks. When you make your marks, you want to make them light. And you want to make them directly above the mark on the ruler for accuracy. Very important to get them as accurate as possible. So now I have all the vertical lines, and now I'm going to do the horizontal lines. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to flip my paper horizontal, line it up, and make my marks across. Once you have marks on all 4 sides, then you can connect them. You have to have all your marks. And luckily with this one, it goes exactly to 12. So then whenever I bring it down here, line everything up, hold it still, focus all the way through, because if you wiggle your ruler, your marks will be off. Alright. And there's all of those. So now I can connect the dots. So it's kind of hard to see, but I do have marks on both sides. And when you line up your marks to draw the line, it's important that you put the ruler just below the mark, just like when your pencil is going to make the mark, it should go over the mark you already made. So I'm going to lightly draw the line. What is a tip to doing lines lightly? Well, you can hold your pencil with a looser grip, and that will help you not to press down so hard. And also, you can hold it with the carpenter grip. Normally, we hold our pencils down here close to the bottom. A carpenter holds their pencil close to the top so that they just glide the pencil along the edge that they need a mark made. It will make it go quicker and give you much lighter line to work with. The grid is a tool to transfer the image, but at the end we're going to erase it. And so if you want it erased, and then people won't know that you used a grid. Art is all about illusions, optical illusions. So these little tips and tricks are the little things that are going to push your art from so-so to good, or from good to awesome. So I've done all the vertical lines, and now I'm doing the horizontal lines. Trust the process and make sure everything lines up. After you do this on your white paper, then you'll move to your reference photo and do the exact same thing. Even if your reference photo is a different size, it's okay, as long as your boxes are the same. Your boxes have to be the same size on both papers. Otherwise, they won't correspond. What does correspond mean? That means match up. We want them to match up accurately. Okay, we're almost done with this. So see, this didn't take very long. If you just focus on what you're doing when you're doing it, you'll have a grid drawn in no time. And now we have it. So now you're going to get your reference image and do the same thing. My reference image was this sky here in this magazine picture. So you can see how my boxes from my magazine photo are the same size as my boxes from my paper. Okay? So make sure you follow the exact same steps for the magazine. 1 inch. So what you should do, if you have a magazine with a torn edge, you should start in the corner where both edges are solid. Okay? Once you have a grid on both papers, it's okay that our white paper is a little bit bigger than our magazine or our reference photo. What we're going to do now is we're going to start the transferring process. Before we do that, we need to establish some sort of numbering so that we can keep track of where the boxes are. So I'm going to use numbers across the top, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes in my magazine squares. I'm going to do the same thing, numbering across the top of my paper. I'm just going to use a pencil. I used a pen. Pro tip, I used a pen on my magazine so I could see it better. Okay, but make sure you're careful with the lines and you know that's where they go. Alright, so now we can see the lines there. So now I'm just going to number the boxes across the top so that I can keep up with where things go. Okay, so there's 8, and then I have a little bit of extra space. That's okay. Don't worry about that for right now. We'll just leave it empty. All right, now, and so then on the lines, boxes going down, you can either also do it with numbers. So, you know, you could say box 5, 4, like when you're graphing, or you could do it with letters. So like box 5A. So I'm gonna do it mine with numbers though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So then I'll number them over here. Top one is 1, 2, 3. It's hard to see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So now when I start to transfer the image and I start getting in the middle and it gets a little bit tricky, I'll know exactly where things go because I can say, oh, the head is in box 4, 5. So 4 and 5 should be the head. So if I look at box 4 and 5, and there's my head. So I've already started transferring my image on this one. The way that I like to start transferring the image, I start just going right across. So I like to put my picture right below it and make it line up. And you look for the main contour lines in each box. So if I'm doing this box, I see there's a line here and a line here. I would transcribe that, so it's like just making a little copy into this box. Beep. So you want to look at where the lines cross over. Let's see here. So you want to look at where the lines are crossing over. Okay. Come on, camera. Don't understand. There we go, that helps. Now if you would just stop moving all that. Okay, so if the line is crossing over, what the heck? Oh, and I did it. Didn't. All right, so at this point we should have 1 inch by 1 inch squares on our magazine or our reference image. 1 inch by 1 inch squares on our paper, drawn lightly. And then you want to label your boxes. So I've started in this corner to 8, and then this is 1 to 11. Remember the same ones here, 1 to 8, 1 to 11. Like I said, these could also be A, B, C, D if that makes it easier for you, like box 1A, 1B, okay? But for me, the numbers work. I can keep track of that. So it's important to have it numbered so that it helps you make sure things go in the right box. So now what you're going to do is you want to start transferring the image. So what we were saying was you're looking for the main contour lines in each box. Okay, this image has a lot going on. It's very complicated, but if I break it down into a piece by piece, like a puzzle or eating a cake, you eat it bite by bite. Do it piece by piece. So you want to look at where the lines cross. Okay, you can even make grid lines inside of your grid line. Oops, this is tricky. So I'm going to see where the line cross here. Okay, and then we make a curved line going up and over. And this little frame crosses down here. Okay, and then you're gonna just keep going just like that until you start to have something like this. Okay, and so what I'm looking for the first grade was, did your grids line up? So if I count your grids, you know, box 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and box 3, 4 is there a little statue. Okay, so God, I started to erase them, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and there is the statue and the shell. So the way I work on mine is I just go across. You can either go box by box this way or box by box this way, going across, and that just helps you see each line, each thing that you're transferring. And then to make it easier, when I move to my next box, so I started at the top, I just folded down the top and then started working on the second one. Okay, and that made it easier until now I'm here and I've copied this part and this part, and I'm just working my way down. Okay, and so the next one, I'm going to go ahead and fold this down so that for my next box will be this one, and I can start by doing my little horse's head here. So you're looking at where the lines intersect. His little ear. And sometimes I like to just trace over the lines that are on the paper. That helps me draw the same line on my paper. Okay, it's really hard to draw through a screen, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to keep going until I have all the main contours transferred. And then we said you don't have to do all the patterns. I'm not going to do the floor pattern right now. I'm not going to do the rug pattern right now. I'm just getting the main things in the right place. Okay? And then what we're going to do is make it our own. So we'll talk about that on the next assignment video. Thanks.